Celtic fans, what a night we've got ahead of us. And honestly, the whole place feels like it's buzzing with a strange mix of excitement, nerves, and that wee hint of nostalgia that only football can bring. Celtic Park is gearing up again, and as we get closer to kick-off against Dundee, there's this feeling in the air that something's shifting behind the scenes, something big, something long-term, and it all circles back to the dugout. Once again, the talk of the town is the manager's seat, and no wonder, because it looks like we're now at the very end of Martin O'Neill's short return at the helm. Hearing him confirm that tonight marks his final match as interim boss hit a lot of us right in the chest. It's been a brief spell, but by God, it's been refreshing. His press conferences had that old-school charm, that mix of sharp wit and genuine care. And you could tell from the way he spoke that the man was enjoying himself as much as we were enjoying having him back. The results held up too, which only added to that bittersweet feeling as he spoke about stepping aside. But as one chapter closes, another opens, and all eyes have now shifted towards Wilfried Nancy, who by all accounts is already in Glasgow and could well be sitting somewhere in the stands tonight, taking in the atmosphere, the noise, the passion, the expectation. You can picture him wandering through the stadium corridors, getting his first real taste of the place he'll soon call home. The reports suggest his appointment will be made official within the next couple of days, with his first training session lined up for Thursday and the full unveiling not long after that. It's all moving quickly, and that's probably the way it has to be when you're stepping into a club where the demands are sky high before you've even zipped up your jacket. The fascinating thing with Nancy is the personality he brings. During a bit of digging last night, I ended up watching a clip from earlier this year, back when he was preparing for a derby with Cincinnati. Someone asked him about handling an underdog mentality, and the look on his face said everything before he even opened his mouth. He shut that idea down instantly. He said he'd never be an underdog in his life, couldn't stand the very word. You could see the conviction in him, the pride, the belief. That's exactly the sort of mentality Celtic supporters warm to. You walk into this club, you better carry yourself like you belong here, and from the looks of it, he does. And honestly, I think when he has his first press conference, when he starts talking about the challenge, the expectation, his style, and the possibilities ahead, he'll have a lot of people on side right away. Celtic fans respond to openness, confidence, and clarity, and he seems like someone who knows how to communicate once he steps into Lennoxtown, shakes hands with the players, and gets that first match day out of the way on Sunday against Hearts. I reckon the place will be fully behind him. It feels like that kind of moment. Back to Martin O'Neill for a second, because one thing he said yesterday really stood out. When speaking about Callum McGregor, O'Neill admitted he always thought McGregor was a good player, but only now does he fully realise how good he truly is. He compared him to captains he's had elsewhere, lads who were leaders in their own ways, but said, McGregor isn't just the calm type who leads by example. He's vocal, he's respected by every single person in the building, and he sets standards every day. Anyone who has worked closely with him seems to say the same thing. You hear it from players, coaches, staff, and it's obvious that McGregor will be central to whatever Nancy wants to build. He'll be the one driving the style on the pitch, keeping the tempo, demanding more, and making sure everyone buys into the new ideas. O'Neill also mentioned that every player gets a fresh start under a new manager, which is always an interesting thought when you've got guys in the squad who haven't featured much recently. Sometimes a new face in the dressing room brings out something totally different in a player. You never know who might suddenly come to life, and with Nancy arriving, The slate resets for a few of the lads who've been on the fringes. You could almost sense O'Neill hinting at that, saying that some players might surprise more everybody once they're handed a chance. Things get a bit more complicated when you look ahead to the next few weeks, and all the players who could be heading away for the African Cup of Nations. With a couple of the new signings already confirmed in their national squads and a few others likely to join them, it could stretch Celtic's depth quite a bit, especially in the attacking areas. It's the sort of headache every club faces at this time of year, but the timing couldn't be worse with a new manager trying to settle in. Still, that's the reality of having talented players from across the world. You take the highs and the lows, and you just hope the squad holds together during a packed winter schedule. But even with all that swirling around the club, the here and now is simple. Celtic have Dundee tonight, and after that frustrating afternoon earlier in the season, there's a real urge to put things right under the lights at home. Dundee have had a rough patch lately, but got themselves a win the last time out, so they'll arrive with a bit of confidence. Celtic, meanwhile, are dealing with a few injury issues. Kieran Tierney's toe problem sounds absolutely brutal, far from ideal for someone who spends 90 minutes sprinting and smashing into challenges. Jota Johnston, Carter Vickers, and a few others remain out, so the squad isn't exactly at full strength, but there's still more than enough there to get the job done. Looking at the possible team, it'll likely be similar to what we've seen recently. McGregor will drive the midfield again, and you'd expect Reo Hatate and Engels to slot in beside him, giving that balance of control and spark. Maeda through the middle always brings energy and chaos in the best possible way, and if a couple of the wide lads can find a bit of rhythm early on, it could make for a lively night. You get the sense that the players will want to send O'Neill off with a big performance, something convincing, something that shows how far they've come in this short spell under him. And every match across the country kicks off at the same time tonight. So it'll be one of those evenings where the table can shift with every goal. Celtic just need to handle their own business, something clean, something professional. A few goals would be cracking, of course, but 3 points matter more than anything just now, especially with so much change swirling around the club as the new era gets ready to start. The atmosphere around the training ground felt different as the lads stepped out onto the pitch with that mix of sharp focus and quiet confidence that usually appears when the squad senses that something important is building. You could see it in the way every pass carried a bit more weight. Every sprint had a touch more urgency. And even the conversations between players seemed filled with that anticipation that only comes before a truly demanding sequence of matches. It is never easy maintaining such intensity in the middle of the season, but the group handled it with a calmness that suggests they are fully aware of what is at stake. The coaches watched closely, encouraging when needed and pushing when the energy dipped, making sure every detail was polished before the next kick of the ball. What really caught the eye today was the movement between the lines, especially from the midfielders who kept pulling the defenders out of shape with clever runs and constant rotation. There is a growing understanding between them that was not quite as sharp a few weeks ago, and now it is beginning to show in a way that promises more fluidity in the matches ahead. When the forwards dropped deeper to link up play, the whole system seemed to breathe, giving the team a dynamic rhythm that has been missing in recent fixtures. That kind of link-up is essential, not just for the technical side of things, but for the psychological boost it brings, making everyone feel part of a larger, coordinated movement. And you could tell the supporters would have loved what was happening on that pitch today. Even though it was just a training session, the level of intensity would have satisfied any fan worried about whether the desire is still there. The players were pressing with hunger, reacting quickly whenever possession was lost and refusing to give the ball away cheaply. It is that blend of determination and intelligence that defines great teams, and although this group still has plenty to prove, the signs point to a squad that is starting to rediscover its identity. You could hear shouts of encouragement echoing across the field, with players pushing each other to keep the tempo high and not let the standards drop. There was also a strong emphasis on quick transitions, something the coaching staff has been drilling repeatedly. The moment possession was won, the team spread wide with pace, and the midfielders did not hesitate to drive forward with intent. You could sense that the players were enjoying this part of the session, especially when some of the attacking combinations resulted in beautifully crafted plays that would not look out of place in a competitive match. Watching those sequences unfold, you could imagine exactly how dangerous this team could be if they managed to replicate that same fluidity when the real pressure arrives. One of the standout performers today was the young fullback who kept bombing forward with fearlessness, taking on defenders like it was the final minutes of a cup match. The confidence he has developed over the past months is becoming more visible, and with every strong performance, the belief grows that he could soon become one of the most reliable pieces in this squad. When he cut inside to link up with the midfielders, the entire shape of the team shifted with impressive balance, giving the attack another layer of unpredictability. You could see the more experienced players shouting encouragement his way, showing he has earned their trust through consistent effort. The defensive unit also had their moment under the microscope, especially in drills focused on closing down space and reacting to long switches of play. The centre-backs communicated well, keeping the line compact and stepping forward with perfect timing whenever the attackers tried to sneak into dangerous positions. It is the kind of coordination that only develops through repetition and trust. And today it was clear that the foundations are becoming more solid. A few aggressive tackles stood out, not reckless ones, but the kind that send a message that the defenders are ready for a battle. It is always a positive sign when the defenders look as motivated as the attackers. Another element that made the session particularly interesting was the focus on set-piece movements. Although it is only one small part of the game, everyone knows how decisive these moments can be, especially in tightly contested matches where a single header or deflection can change the entire story. The delivery from the wings was sharp, and the attackers made their runs with perfect timing, causing real trouble for the defensive unit that tried to keep up. Even the goalkeepers were fully involved, shouting instructions and pushing themselves to react faster to second balls and rebounds. But beyond the tactical drills and rehearsed patterns, what really defined the training today was the energy. You could sense the fire in the team, a collective desire that no coach can simply teach. It comes from experience, from recent frustrations, from the hunger to prove something to themselves and to the supporters. It was especially visible in the small-sided game at the end of the session, where every challenge was contested like it meant everything. The ball zipped around with pace, players were shouting for space, and the level of competitiveness reached the kind of intensity you usually only see on match day. The coaching staff looked pleased but not satisfied, which is exactly the attitude needed at this stage. They know there is still a long journey ahead, and every session counts. As the players gathered for a final talk at the center of the pitch, the mood was one of determination. There were no dramatic speeches, no exaggerated celebrations, just a shared understanding that the work continues and that every minute on the training ground is shaping the story they want to write in the upcoming fixtures. Whatever happens tonight, one thing is certain. The story of Celtic is moving into a new phase and everyone watching can feel it. Change is coming, challenges are coming, hope is coming, and the journey begins under the lights of Celtic Park, with the roar of the supporters echoing across the city and a club standing ready to write its next chapter. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers have been swirling ruined Glasgow's East End, but the latest murmur has hit like a bolt across the terraces. Celtic are said to have sealed a stunning move for Aaron Hickey, a signing folk inside the club are rumoured to be calling a season changer. Nothing official has been shouted from the rooftops, of course, yet the quiet confidence drifting out o' Lennoxtown has supporters leaning closer, wondering if this might just be the moment momentum shifts. Hickey, long admired for his gallus mix of composure and willingness to thunder up the flank, is the sort of player many assumed was beyond the hoop's grasp. His name has danced through transfer windows before, but never with this kind of heat. Now the chatter grows louder, papers rustling behind closed doors, agents seen lurking near Parkhead, insiders muttering that the lad himself is keen on the move, drawn by the prospect of leading a new phase in the squad's evolution. Some within the support are already imagining the shape of things to come. A local boy returning, Tay the green and white, bringing both grit and guile, is the kind of tale that sends pulses racing along London Road. There's a belief, whispered in pubs and message boards alike, that Hickey's arrival could offer balance to a side that's been crying out for someone who can twist a match by sheer presence, someone who blends modern sharpness with the old-school swagger fans adore. Of course, as with any rumour this size, there's the usual fog of uncertainty, questions hang in the air, drifting like breath on a cold Glasgow night, but the tone of the talk has changed. It's not the usual wishful thinking. It feels heavier, more grounded. Folk close to the club hint that the paperwork is nearing the line, though nobody dares say it outright. Still, the sense of anticipation is unmistakable. Celtic supporters know when something is brewing, and this one has the scent of a proper upheaval. If the whispers prove true, Aaron Hickey could walk through the doors of Parkhead as the lad who turns the whole season on its head, though for now all we've got is the rumble, the thrum, the irresistible buzz of a story too big to ignore. Hello, fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.